Hey everyone, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel. Today's video, Thousand Suns in-depth, continuing for what seems like forever, but hey, this is the channel focus. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Exalted Sorcerer and how to make an utter beat stick monster. Is it thematic for Thousand Suns? You be the judge. The fickle nature of Tzeentch says, yeah, I'm a support character, but huzzah! I've got a big choppy stick and loads of cool relics and abilities to turn him into a bit of a shock troop. And we're going to take a look at how we do that in this video. So let's get straight into it. So let's delve straight into the base statistics of the Exalted Sorcerer then. It has a move of 6 inches, a weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2+, a strength and toughness of 4, 5 wounds, 5 attacks, a leadership of 9 and a save of 3+. Very standard, I'd say, for pretty much every Space Marine character that comes in power armor. This is something that you're going to see across the board with most characters that are toughness 4. This is the stat line that we're all going to come with. However, the joys of Tzeentch means that we can put these on a little floaty disc, and that improves their movement by 6 inches up to 12 inches. But all the rest of the stats remain the same. However, we do get a few keyword changes along with that, and I'll cover all the keywords shortly after this section. But what you need to know is that we gain the ability to fly, and we gain the cavalry keyword, but we lose infantry because we're no longer on foot. Previous codexes, we used to gain the demon keyword as well, but alas, all of those shenanigans are well and truly gone. So our sorcerer is a power level of 6. But if you're using points, which, let's be honest, most of us do, comes in at a stock of 100 points, and that's with the equipment that it comes with, which is an Inferno bolt pistol, a 4-stave, frag, and crack grenades. All of that equipment is now free. As with most characters though, you can replace some of their war gear options, and in this case there's no difference here. So the Inferno bolt pistol can be replaced with either a plasma pistol or a warp flame pistol, both costing an optional upgrade which is 5 points. As mentioned, we can put them on a disc to increase our range, or our movement range, and that's going to cost you 25 points. Additionally though, we can also be equipped with a Prosperine Khopesh, which is that close combat super sword that our Scarab Occult Terminators can take. But note that that doesn't replace anything. It doesn't replace our staff. It is just an additional piece of equipment. And again, just like the other upgrades, that cost us 5 points. Just a quick note though that if you are playing power level and you do add the Disc of Tzeentch, that is going to increase the power level from 6 to 7. So the cheapest bog standard Exalted Sorcerer is going to cost us that flat 100 points. But if we take as many options as we possibly can, with a disc, with a Khopesh, and with, say, a Warp Flame pistol, that's going to take the total up to 135 points as the max build out for the Exalted Sorcerer. The Exalted Sorcerer comes with a number of abilities, starting with Kabbalistic Rituals. Now, I've covered Kabbalistic Rituals in a previous video, and so I'll try and remember to put a link in the description below. Basically, this model will generate you 3 Cabal points for that pool that you generate at the start of each psychic phase. And Kabbalistic Rituals can only affect units that have the Kabbalistic Ritual rule. So this, obviously being one of our key characters, is going to benefit from that. Also comes with the Sigil of Corruption, which gives us a 4+ invulnerable save. Always a very handy thing to have in this game. And most characters in 40k these days have an ability to generate an invulnerable save, you know, as befitting their status. We also have an aura ability, as again with a lot of characters in this game. Ours is called Lord of the Thousand Suns, while a friendly Great Cult core unit is within 6 inches of the model. Each time that model makes an attack, you re-roll the hit roll of 1. So re-roll of 1s to friendly core units being critical, within that same Great Cult. Surprise, surprise, this model is a Psyker, and this model can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers in your psychic phase and attempt to deny it 1 psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase. As usual, it knows Smite and 2 psychic powers from either Discipline of Change and or the Discipline of Vengeance. And then finally, a number of keywords as well. Faction keywords: Chaos Tzeentch, Heretic Astartes, Arcana Astartes, Thousand Suns, and will adopt the Great Cult that it's in. And regular keywords: Character, Infantry, Psyker, and Exalted Sorcerer. Now, as mentioned, if you do take a disc, it will lose infantry and will gain fly and cavalry keywords once it's on that disc. So I've got a couple of interesting build options for the Exalted Sorcerer that's going to make them into a bit of a combat monster rather than being a traditional support character sat at the back, casting mortal wounds and buffing and debuffing yourself and the opponent. This is the shock factor that I think is going to be quite interesting. So let's take a look at a couple of alternative builds. So first up, these are both vaguely similar, but taking a couple of different approaches here. The first one here then, you take the Legion Command with Paradigm of Change. So that is going to cost you a couple of extra points here. It's an extra 15 points to do this. You're going to take Third Degree as your relic, so the Super Disc of Tzeentch. Then we're going to take our standard trait from the book rather than anything from the cults, and that's going to be Ether Stride. We're going to take a Khopesh as an upgrade, so an additional 5 points onto the build. Temporal Surge and Swelled by the Warp will be our two psychic power options. Now that's, I think, is a fairly complex build, taking all of these different combinations. Right, this is where the channel has been focusing on, is how to then combine all of those different elements we've talked about to try and make things better than the individual components that they might appear to be. So what does this actually give us on our Exalted Sorcerer though? What this actually gives us is quite a crazy set of buffs. It now gives us a 15-inch move model because we've gone from a 12-inch disc and then we've taken Ether Stride, which gives us plus 3 inches to our move, so that's a 15-inch move. We now can cast when we fall back. We can charge after advancing. We can fall back and charge thanks to the combination of the Third Degree and Ether Stride. We can consolidate 6 inches in any direction rather than to the nearest enemy unit. We are now Strength 7, AP -3, Damage 2 in melee thanks to a couple of combinations here. The first being the Khopesh, which gives us most of those stats. The second does rely on us getting Swelled by the Warp off, which is on a 5+. So that gives us that +2 strength and an additional attack. So we're a beast in melee. Strength 7, AP -3, 2 damage. And then on top of that, on a 4+, we heal D3 wounds per turn. So we can keep coming back for more. So 7 attacks, charging on a 15 plus D6 because we can advance and charge. Strength 7, AP -3, flat 2 damage. So a pretty shock value of movement. Speed can be so critical in this game, getting around that board. And not only with that 15-inch plus D6 advance, does give us the opportunity to get into certain situations where we can score some points. Engage on all fronts, for example, or being able to get round the back of screen troops and snipe characters. That kind of attitude is in abundance with this particular build. And don't forget, you know, you have the option to smite as well. So you can kick out some mortals if you need to. If you don't need to heal that particular turn, for example, you might not have taken any damage. I've got a second combination for you as well. It's vaguely similar, but takes a couple of different approaches in the way that you use your relics. So let's take a look at that build. So this time we're taking Dilettante as our Legion Command. That allows us to pay 35 points. So this does become a little bit more expensive, but allows us to take 2 relics on the same model, and we haven't got to pay any command points or anything else to take that second relic. So we're going to keep with Third Degree, our super disc. We're also going to take the Stave Abominus, which is an upgrade to our 4 stave. Then we're going to have to run this in the Cult of Mutation in order to take the Warlord trait, Touch of Vicissitude. And then our psychic powers are going to remain the same, Temporal Surge and Swelled by the Warp. So once again, another fairly complex build in the way that Thousand Suns are complicated in applying all of those relative buffs. So what does this actually give us for our little swollen Exalted Sorcerer this time? So as I said at the start of this particular one, vaguely similar. We're still going to end up with our 15-inch move. We can still cast when we fall back. We can still charge after advancing. And we can still consolidate 6 inches in any direction. What changes here, though, is the way that the melee interaction occurs. So we now still use Swelled by the Warp for +2 strength and +1 attack, cast on a 5+. Now that modifies our characteristic of our model. So when we now combine that with our Stave Abominus, which is +3 strength, AP -1 damage, that +3 strength is on top of the characteristic. So we are now strength 9 with an AP -1 damage in melee. But with our additional relic now from the Cult of Mutation, every 6 to hit is an additional mortal wound in addition to other damage. So we might not be as good on our AP, we might not be as good on our flat damage, but those 6s are mortal wounds. However, the stave does also double our number of attacks, with a base characteristic of 5, modified by Swelled by the Warp to give us a base characteristic of 6, and then we double our attacks, giving us 12 attacks. So this is all about the numbers. So not quite as combat nasty in its singularity as such, with the 7 attacks minus 3/2 damage. We are now kicking out a lot of attacks. 12 attacks should give us at least 2 mortal wounds on an average dice roll, and then we still have that massive amount of charge range and that increase in strength 9. So we're now wounding on 2s across the board, in the most part against toughness 4 enemies rather than 3s. So we're a bit more efficient in the number of wounds that we can put out, but we're giving them the opportunity to then make a better save. So it is a bit of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So more volume, less power, or more power and less volume, whichever way you want to cut it. So there we go then, folks. That is the Exalted Beat Stick build. A very interesting one. It's appeared in a couple of comments in my videos as well, actually. So credits where it's due. There are a few people that have talked about this on Facebook groups and Reddits and so on as well. It's not. I've not created this. This is something I've taken a look at that's been posted around. I don't think it's been used in a competitive setting yet. I don't think that's the way that competitive players tend to throw their everything into a single character like this. Certainly for the Thousand Suns builds. But I think it's a lot of fun, and it will take a few of your opponents a little bit off guard, just in the speed and the solid amount of damage that it can put out. But yeah, I'd love to know in the comment section below what you think. Have you had a go at one of these yet? If so, I'd love to hear from you and what its success has been like for you on the tabletop. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next video.